Hey, I'm Greg.
I'm David, and we're with Malta Dynamics.
This is the 4 things you need to know about residential roofing fall protection.
The first thing you want to know is, what does OSHA say? So you want to reference if you have a state OSHA or the federal OSHA, and then you want to look at 1926 501B13.
And this is what it says. Residential construction. Each employee engaged in residential construction activities 6 feet or more above lower levels shall be protected by guardrail systems, safety net systems, or personal fall arrest systems, unless another provision in paragraph B of this section provides for an alternative fall protection measure. Exception. When the employer can demonstrate that it is infeasible or creates a greater hazard to use these systems, the employer shall develop and implement a fall protection plan which meets the requirements of paragraph K 1926.502.
So there is a note in this standard that states that there was a presumption that it is feasible. So you as the employer actually have to go out of your way to prove that it is infeasible. And with today's technology, the different safety you're out in the market, it's going to be tough to be able to prove that it is infeasible.
Number 2 is to know your environment. And this is when you perform your hazard analysis, you develop your fall protection plan and your rescue plan, and you get those documented per OSHA standards.
So during this, you want to make sure you look at all your hazards on the job site, figure out where you're going to tie off, figure out how high you're working. We're talking about residential construction here. So if you're on a roof that's 30 feet versus 15 feet, you're going to have different types of fall protection gear that's going to be required on that job.
Yeah, and you're going to need to know at this point what fasteners you're using for implementing your fall protection devices, what your body wear is going to be. Things like that are going to be all included in this, as well as what is your walking working surface? What are your things that you could swing into if there was a fall? Other things like that are all going to be figured out on this step.
So number 3 is going to be choosing your gear and equipment. So as we looked at earlier, they mentioned the guardrail systems, the safety net systems. On a residential roof, typically that's not going to be feasible. So you're going to be looking at a personal fall arrest system. So with that, you have your ABCs of the fall protection. So your anchor is typically going to be a permanent or reusable roof anchor, sometimes called a butterfly anchor. You have your body wear, which is going to be a standard full body harness. Your connector, typically on a residential construction site, is going to be a vertical lifeline assembly or a VLA.
Now, these vertical lifeline assemblies are very popular in residential construction. They're versatile, they are relatively inexpensive, and they have a lot of different applications. And so you can use them in restraint, you can use them in fall arrest as well, and you can get different lengths or adjust it on your way down or on your way up to provide the right amount of lead on that rope. Number 4 is actually doing the work. This is when your plan and your work all come together and you perform the actual job. And you want to refer to your user instructions from your gear that you have and execute the work. Malta Dynamics has a blurb in our user manual about our VLA kits and the anchor, and here it is. The roof structure anchor location must be capable of supporting a minimum of 5,000 pounds tensile load, or shall be designed, installed, and used as followed. Part of a complete personal fall arrest system which maintains a minimum safety factor of 2, and under the supervision of a qualified person per OSHA 1926.502 with a substrate requirement of a minimum of 1/2 inch thick plywood.
So during this, obviously you're using different types of materials on a job site, depending on the specs called out for the building. With that, you want to make sure that you're installing the anchors per the user's manual, because if you go into a 1/4 inch thick plywood and you take a fall on it, there's a good chance that's not going to arrest you. So with that, you're going through a 1/2 inch piece of plywood into the truss to make sure you have an adequate anchorage point.
Yeah, and doing all of these things in conjunction with your plan and in conjunction with the manufacturer's suggested use, and doing this on your residential job can prevent injuries and keep you working for a long time.